To me, drought management means access to finance and technology.
I think that better drought management could mean that more people can have access to clean, fresh drinking water.
Without better management, cross-cutting agro-silvopastoralism, crop selection and water management in the Sahel.
Better drought management would mean capacity building for drought monitoring, assessment and forecasting for proper implementation of drought preparedness plans.
It's about planning and building fodder and financial reserves between drought periods.
One of the most successful technology for drought management is rainwater harvesting for human, animal, and agricultural consumption.
For me, converting forest and agricultural waste into biochar is a good solution for drought management.
For me, drought management means effective intervention for natural resource management.
Conserving biodiversity from loss.
Using hydroponic technique to save water.
Drought is a natural hazard and we are conscious of it. So Maltaba Peasant Women Farmer Cooperative has drilled a mechanized borehole to support our women farmers who are into irrigation.
Better drought management can include participatory planning and execution of sustainable, equitable, and integrated interventions.
Better drought management means giving indigenous communities, equipping them with knowledge, skills, to be able to navigate around their land.
Encourage the investments in new technology to improve the drought management.
Drought management is the management that enables the smallholder farmer who depend on the rain-fed agriculture to still produce despite the shocks.
Drought management means to me supporting rural women in Deir al-Ahmar region in the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon in the field of manufacturing traditional milk products such as kishk, labneh, and shankli.
Better drought management means increasing resilience and decreasing vulnerability of landscapes and land users to drought-related events.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Fida Haddad and I'm Dryland Forestry Officer in the Forestry Division in FAO. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all to our roundtable discussion at the GLF Climate Forum. I will be your moderator for this session, which will focusing on the benefits of silvopastoral land restoration and management as a way of managing drought in the Near East and North Africa region. The session is French, Spanish, and Arabic, so you can use the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen to change between languages. The event also is streamed and recorded. Should you have any question for our panelists, please post the questions in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, the Near East and North Africa region is the most water and land resources scarce region in the world. It's dry, hot, and scarce in water and land resources, characterized by arid and semi-arid to desert conditions with limited tree cover. Droughts, therefore, hit the NENA region. Allow me to use this abbreviation for the Near East and North Africa region hard, and these climate shocks on the top of population growth and economic changes are putting massive pressure on its resources. At the same time, the ongoing debate on drought management is still characterized by traditional actions on water management interventions, increased infrastructure, or reactive crisis management. This is where silvopastoral systems can play a role, especially in the NENA region, as these systems are uniquely adapted to the NENA's water scarcity and the climate variability. But also, not only NENA region, no country is immune to drought. Last Monday, world leaders launched the International Drought Resilience Alliance at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh with aim to shift drought management from emergency response into resilience against the climate change impact. Today, we have some very knowledgeable speakers with us from civil society organizations, universities, donors, governmental experts, youth representatives. We are going to open a discussion on what needs to be done and who needs to do it to implement integrated drought. Countries in the NENA region are better prepared for droughts. As we just heard the different messages and thoughts from different stakeholders about what better drought management means to them. So please add your thoughts as well in the Slido link just added by my colleagues on the chat box, and let us know your thoughts as well. So without any further ado, let's kick off our debate and get some context on the ground. For this, I would like to welcome Dr. Wadid Aryan, Professor of Soil Science at Cairo University and Senior Advisor for Sustainable Development at League of Arab States, and Dr. Andres Malmer, the Professor at the Swedish University of Agriculture Science and the International Coordinator of the Swedish Forest Agency, who are here with us today to set the scene of the current, let's say, drought status and projection in NENA region, and at the same time, the potential role of trees and silvopastoral systems in drought and water management. So let me start with Dr. Wadid. As we all know that 70% of the land degraded in NENA region, with 8 countries, are in the global top 10 highest level of water stress. How it will look in the current drought challenge and its forecasts for the NENA region. So I will over to you, and I think you can share your screen from your side, please.
Thank you, Fida, for introducing me. I'm now sharing my screen. The subject is really very important, and I would like to start with telling you not only 8 countries, of course, you mentioned those on the top, but of course, majority of the countries in Arab region are suffering from water scarcity. I am going to show you some answers for some questions that might come to the minds of your audience. I can shift now to Arabic maybe because I would like to speak more in the language also for the region, which I am presenting the League of Arab States, so I would speak in Arabic as well. جفاف ظاهرة موجودة معانا بقى لها فترة طويلة في المنطقة العربية، بتأثر عليه. كل القياسات بتقول بقى لنا 900 سنة بنعاني من تمدد الجفاف. إذا هي ظاهرة مستمرة، ولكن من وقت لوقت بنشعر بأن حصل موجة جفاف زي اللي ظاهرة قدامنا في اللون الأحمر. بتظهر موجة الجفاف فنبتدي نقول حصلت دورة جفاف عالية في منطقة من الأوقات، لكن الترند العام هو في ازدياد، وخصوصا ان كل ما بتزيد درجه حراره نتيجه تغير المناخ، درجه حراره الارض ان جنرال في المنطقه ان بارتيكولار، بنلاقي انه بيزيد السيفيريتي، بيزيد الفريكونسي، الشده والتكراريه للجفاف في المنطقه. وبالتالي احنا متوقعين مع الوقت، وده اللي بنشوفه دلوقتي، ان الجفاف اصبح ظاهره العالم كله بيشهدها. مفيش دولة غنية فقيرة إلا بتتعامل مع الجفاف وبتعاني منه بدرجات مختلفة، وهيستمر ازدياده مع الوقت. الحقيقة عايز أقول حاجة قبل ما نبتدي خالص، أقول لكم إنه لا الغذاء ولا الماء هيكونوا القضية في المستقبل الحقيقة خاصة بالجفاف، لأن التكنولوجي ممكن يحل لنا المشكلة دي، لكن الانفراستراكشر البنية التحتية والمؤسسات غير مؤهلة في معظم دول العالم للتعامل مع هذه الظاهرة. ويمكن شفنا في لندن السنة دي إن البنية التحتية هناك ما كانتش كافية للتعامل مع موجة حرارية بهذا الشكل. أنا هعرض مجموعة من الخرائط بقارن فيهم في فترتين من 30 سنة ل 30 سنة. 30 سنة بتبدأ من سنة 60 ل 89، وبعدين من سنة 90 ل 2018. لو لاحظنا في الخرائط ديت وبصينا على مثلا المتوسط العام للحراره بنلاقي انه بيحصل ايه؟ ارتفاع دلوقتي في درجه حراره البحر المتوسط اثر على المناطق المحيطه به، بنلاقي انه في تغير عام الامطار، بنلاقي ان في تغير عام نتيجته في جفاف كبير حصل في جنوب اوروبا وكمان في الشمال وفي الشرق المنطقه العربيه ككل. الجنوب السودان ابتدى يحصل فيه زياده، الحراره بدات ترتفع بدرجه كبيره، لكن لو قارنا بيننا وبين اوروبا بنلاقي ان الحراره في اوروبا بترتفع بدرجه اكبر والتغير فيها اشد في 30 سنه، وده برضو بيوري ده موضوع مهم لان غذاء ومواد كثيره بناخدها من اوروبا والامن الغذائي بالتالي في حاله عمليه. لو شفناه شهور فبنلاقي ان الشهور الشتويه بنلاقي انه في معظم الدول الاوروبيه ومنطقه شمال افريقيا في امطار بدرجات مختلفه متباينه خصوصا من ديسمبر لفبراير، لكن بعدهم على طول بيجي الربيع بنلاقي ان درجات الامطار الحراره بتبتدي يحصل لها ارتفاع بشكل واضح مع انخفاض، فبنلاقي هنا الانسرتينتي في المناطق المطريه عالي لان الحراره بتزيد، الفابو ترانسبيريشن كمان هنشوف كمان شويه ان هو بيزيد، وبالتالي بيجي المنسون يظهر لنا في مناطق الفتره ديت، بنلاقي انه الحراره عاليه في هذه الفتره وبالتالي والايفابو ترانسبيريشن عالي في هذه الفتره. فمهما كانت كميه المنسون اللي احنا بنشوفه الا ان ارتفاع درجه الحراره والبخر الناتح من التربه بيؤدي لانه في انسرتينتي عاليه بدات تظهر في المراعي والغابات والمناطق المطريه في معظم الدول العربيه والمناطق المحيطه بهذه الظاهره. ده بيودينا لانه لو احنا بصينا بشكل عام على برضه نفس الحكايه في الفاب ترانسبيريشن او بخر ناتح ماشي ازاي، بنلاقي برضه حكايه الارتفاع دي وصلنا لان احنا لو شفنا الترند للجفاف لفتره زمنيه طويله وهنا 60 سنه بنلاقي انه تغير حاد جدا. يعني احنا لما بنشوفه في الخريطه اللي هي من سنه 91 ل 2019 بنقول اوكي في جفاف متوسط، لكن التغير حاد من 30 سنه ل 30 سنه ده بيودينا الترند ماشي ازاي للارتفاع بدرجه كبيره، وانه كل المنطقه العربيه وكل المناطق المحيطه بيها مهدده بالجفاف بدرجات شده الجفاف بترتفع في المغرب والجزائر رغم ان الغطاء النباتي فيهم جيد لان في حصاد مياه جيد وفي نظم زراعيه جيده. بنلاقي ان الفريكونسي كمان بيزيد، تكراريه موضوع الجفاف بتتكرر بشكل كبير، بنلاقي انه طول فتره اللي بيحصل فيها الجفاف بتزيد، وبالتالي شكل الجفاف العام بيظهر لنا انه زي ما بنشوفه في القرن الافريقي دلوقتي والهجرات والصومال بيحصل فيها ايه واليمن وبنشوف العراق وسوريا. بنلاقي ان منابع نهر الفرات ونهر دجله فيهم مشكلات نتيجه ارتفاع ظاهره الجفاف. حوض نهر النيل في اجزاء منه في جزء من اثيوبيا بيعاني من اجزاء، وده بيودينا لتدهور الاراضي. في تاثير على تدهور الاراضي كبير لان احنا عارفين ان هو تقرير لاند اللي طلع من الاي بي سي كسبيشال ريبورت وضح لنا ان في زياده من 41% في الاراضي الجافه الى 46% في الاراضي الجافه، متوقع مع نص القرن تحول ل 50% من الاراضي الجافه، بتزيد نسبه الاراضي في العالم الزراعيه حوالي 50%. ده الخطر، وده الخريطه اللي قدامنا هنا بتوضح لنا ان الصوره اللي في المنطقه العربيه اللي احنا شايفينها للمغرب العربي في تزايد في درجه اللون الاخضر بتعكس الجوده في عمليه اداره المياه بشكل متكامل، ودي نقطه ايجابيه. دلتا النيل على العكس منها تظهر بلون احمر داكن، وده معناه ان احنا بيحصل عندنا تدهور اراضي عالي في الدلتا نتيجه المباني ونتيجه كمان سوء اداره العنايه بشبكات الصرف واستخدامها. شكرا.
Good. Okay, thank you, Wadid. Well, the red colors in your maps make us feel what will be the solutions. And it's indeed so clear that the climate change will impact even the rain-fed agriculture with a greater impact on the forest and pastoral ecosystem as well. But for this, let's hear also some solutions and promising hopes of why trees and silvopastoral systems are important for the water factor in dry land from Dr. Andres. So give us some hopes.
Thank you, Fida, and thank you, Wadid, for giving the dire challenges. Now, it's not easy. There are no quick solutions. But from our work group in the FAO COFO work group, we have a quest of promoting emerging transitional systems of silvopastoralism. Solutions in 6 minutes is indeed short, and I'll give a very brief and general look into how silvopastoral system can or must develop. This rely on 4 main aspects: trees, livestock, people, and water. A technical question, I don't see the presentation. Is it up?
Okay, 1 second, I think, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So next slide, please. Silvopastoral systems are not new, but many traditional grazing landscapes suffer degradation from increasing and extensive use. As we heard from YDID, the vulnerability will also increase with climate change, inducing increasing drought frequency and magnitudes. So a solution maintaining and restoring silvopastoralism means not excluding people and livestock. You know, traditionally and vulgarly, we sometimes have heard that, well, take away the animals and everything will be fine and the trees will come back. But really, however, solution maintaining and restoring silvopastoral systems, but transforming the production system for diversified value creation rather must rely on people in the landscape and to maintain the value creation they need for their livelihoods. And really, if we want to change and trees to happen and to be scalable in many places, it possibly need also to contain an increase of values for social, economic, and ecosystem services, as well as an increased income diversification. Next slide, please. Now, looking at the need for the trees, the third thing, it's not a new science, and mature trees and woody plants regularly deliver organic material and nutrients to improve both physical and chemical soil properties for soil productivity, for water management. Next slide, please. One old conflict is between livestock and trees, at least how it has been perceived in a world where different groups and professionals promote the trees and other groups care for the livestock. In transitioning and improving silvopastoral system, we need to be better in finding means of getting the trees and the livestock to friends rather than foes. There are examples coming up, and I will refer to them later. And I was also happy to see the video with a lot of interesting examples. And the slide here imply some of them. Next slide, please. For water, increasingly critical with climate change, as we heard, there are also old perspectives, especially the old trade-off model that says that trees steal water, and the application of that has often been interpretations of we cannot plant trees because they will take the last water from us. Instead, today, there is increasing dominance by an optimum tree cover model, and this is what we need for positive change. And this basically says that a dry land with very low tree cover, it will have surface runoff, flooding, and no groundwater recharge. A high forest cover in a landscape which didn't have forests before will also take too much water, and there will be no groundwater and no surface runoff. So rather, every landscape, every dry land landscape have an optimum kind of a cover, which often is like a parkland, can maintain woodlots, agroforestry, and so on. Next slide, please. So, winding up, trees, livestock, people, and water, they all need to find transition together in silvopastoral systems. And I want to refer to the recently published FAO report, Grazing with Trees, that give more background. And our work group has helped to gather 17 nice cases of silvopastoral solutions that are actually happening. There is also in the webpage of this meeting a very recent new white paper called A Turning Point for Drought Management, which is also along these lines. There are some references here, if this presentation can be found later, on the new science of water. I like this headline, Trees, Forest and Water, Cool Insight for a Hot World. It is nice. The original article about tree cover, optimum tree cover, is more technical, and there is also a review on local trend, tenure, and business to drive scalable adaptation. Now, this component of actually to drive scalable adaptation is very important. Without it, we will not have biodiversity, we will not have carbon sequestration, and so on. So this is also a key point for the people to improve their livelihoods. And I think I'm good there. Thanks, Fida.
Good. Thank you, Andres, for sharing the global experiences on what trees and silvopastoral systems could contribute to the water scarcity in dry lands, and why we should even invest in more. So now we have the context and the promising solutions. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming our great panelists who will discuss their experience from the NENA region and what needs to be done and who needs to do it to ensure the region is better prepared for drought. We have Chris Dengson, Great Climate Fund, Sarah Tuzi, our experts in preparing drought action plans, Mohammed Shahbaz from the Royal Botanic Garden, Zaina Tamimi, Ministry of Agriculture, Lebanon, and Kenza Ben Musa, Youth Negotiator. So let me start with you, Chris. As you know, and an expert on natural resource management, if we invest in land management, we reap many benefits. For example, healthy ecosystems, store carbon, and neutrally manage water, reducing heavy cost of water acquisition and even wastewater transport, storage, to name just these two. So tell us, how can we shift the paradigm and improve healthy silvopastoral systems that regenerate their ecosystem services while boosting the local economy from your experience in the region? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and thanks for inviting us to this seminar. Yeah, my name is Chris Dickinson. I work for the Green Climate Fund, which is the largest climate fund, and we are trying to invest in programs around the world, including the Sahel and North Africa region. And particularly, as you know, drought is a very big issue, one of the biggest climate hazards that affects, I think it's 1.5 billion people at the moment, and planned to expand a lot more. And I was very interested by the two previous presentations, one that presents the drought hazard, and the second, some of the solutions have already been presented today. So in terms of the other sort of problems we have, I think it was mentioned a little bit by the previous speaker about unsustainable herd management, and partly because of land tenure and pastoral rights are changing and populations are increasing. And I think it's very important to understand that we do need to keep grazing on the landscape, but we also need to think about how to improve the value and the quality of the livestock, not just trying to have as many as possible. And we see this sort of issue in Southeast Asia, in Mongolia, in Africa, where local communities have large herds, partly is an adaptation measure because of potential drought in the future. So maybe we need to think of a way to ensure that sizes are sufficient for the ecosystems. And also we need to think about the silvicultural The agroforestry, the trees in the landscape. There's been some very good reports produced in the last month by World Economic Forum on value chains for forestry products in the Great Green Wall of Africa. And that highlights some of the key products that can also add value, like shea, baobab, honey, and gums, for example. And in terms of the Green Climate Fund, we've got a number of projects invested in the region. Not so many in the NENA region. We have a really good agroforestry project looking at the Argan biosphere in Morocco, which is working with women's groups to conserve and to replant and manage properly the agroforestry ecosystems in that area. We also work a lot with the Great Green Wall, which is the area from Senegal to Djibouti, which is below the NENA region, but also is similar in some context. And I was very interested to see the half moon shapes in one of the previous speaker's slides, which is a very good intervention for water harvesting, which is quite widely used for landscape restoration. Some of these projects look at financing for small, medium enterprises and entrepreneurs to try to develop agriculture and agroforestry ecosystems. But I think one of the key things is if you look at the Great Green Wall program, which is implemented originally, the idea came from the African Union about 20 years ago. It has a number of different pillars. It looks at agriculture, which includes grazing, it looks at agroforestry, it also looks at the needs for energy to reduce deforestation. So I think, as Anders said, the solutions aren't simple. It requires a multitude of different approaches, even perhaps solar power to help reduce the deforestation, because there's no point if we restore more agroforestry or trees in an area only for them to be chopped down for firewood. So we need holistic solutions. We need solutions to look at value chains like gums, argan, shea, and we also need to look at managing the grasslands much better. And GCF also has some grassland programs in Mongolia, Botswana, and Kenya. So there's a lot of opportunities for models that can be upscaled and developed around the world. And we look forward to hearing some of the ideas from the audience and the other speakers today on this subject. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, great. Thank you, Chris. This is a great segue to learn more from Sarah Tuzi on why national drought plans should include more proactive drought policies and better protective mechanism, as you mentioned. So, Sarah, how can these plans contribute to the national policy for disaster risk reduction with more holistic and multi-hazards approaches? Perhaps you can give us concrete examples from your work in the region?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Fida, and allow me to switch to French to have more diversity also in this panel. Merci beaucoup. Premièrement, de m'avoir invité à cet intéressant séminaire et vraiment, on a déjà beaucoup appris des collègues qui ont parlé avant moi et dans la transition, justement, M. Wedib nous a déjà exposé les problèmes et on a écouté de M. Anders quelques solutions et on a vu que le Fonds vert s'intéresse à financer certains d'entre eux. Je pense qu'au centre d'entre elles, ce que je trouve maintenant peut-être un outil intéressant à partager avec l'audience, c'est justement cette planification, ces gestions de plans ou ces plans de gestion de la sécheresse qui sont un outil de planification qui permet à la fois d'éviter les phénomènes ou leurs impacts, préparer les solutions et leur chercher des financements. Enfin, on l'a déjà entendu, j'ai pas besoin de le répéter, mais peut-être particulièrement dans notre région où les gens étaient habitués à gérer des phénomènes de sécheresse, mais avec l'augmentation de leur récurrence, en revanche, ce n'est plus possible de continuer comme avant. Avant, il y avait les épisodes pluvieux qui permettaient des fois d'absorber les impacts de la sécheresse. Maintenant, avec des périodes plus longues de sécheresse, ceci n'est plus possible. Et je vais juste citer comme point de départ pour introduire les plans de sécheresse ce que m'a dit des responsables, et parce que c'est une femme, c'est bien de le dire qu'on a aussi des femmes dans notre région, des décideurs politiques, qui m'a dit que on a bien développé des stratégies de long terme. Je sais comment, de manière moyenne, comment gérer mes ressources en eau et comment gérer mes parcelles agricoles ou comment conseiller mes agriculteurs et construire mes politiques agricoles. En revanche, je n'ai pas de scénario parce que c'est tellement volatile actuellement, le climat actuellement, que des fois, je me retrouve comme actuellement, 5 années successives de sécheresse, je ne sais pas quoi faire et je suis dans l'urgence et je n'ai pas de préparation à cette crise. Je suis en train de cesser la crise. C'est pourquoi c'est très important justement d'avoir des plans de sécheresse qui offrent un peu plus de confort et de sérénité aux différents décideurs de préparer et de regarder de manière intégrée comment se préparer à ces phénomènes. Pourquoi? Parce que aussi, je pense, comment on construit ces plans de sécheresse aide les décideurs à mieux structurer leurs réponses. En commençant d'abord, et c'est justement le travail que nous avons conduit pour la Tunisie avec l'appui des collègues de la Convention des Nations Unies pour la lutte contre la désertification, on a essayé de regarder d'abord les impacts de la sécheresse. Sur quel domaine les impacts sont plus visibles et tangibles. Et en Tunisie, en l'occurrence, on a vu que, par exemple, justement, l'élevage et les parcours et le système silvopastoral étaient un des écosystèmes qui étaient touchés par la sécheresse. Aussi la céréaliculture, aussi les oliviers. Et donc, on essayait de voir un peu la vulnérabilité non seulement par rapport à ces écosystèmes où l'impact est fort, mais en y intégrant une composante socio-économique, sociale, en fait. Et ça, je pense, la réponse sociale, qui sont les populations les plus vulnérables à ces sécheresses sont très importantes. Donc, c'est une intégration non seulement intersectorielle, mais également qui intègre aussi la dimension sociale et économique. Et par la suite, bien évidemment, les réponses, elles sont pensées de manière aussi intégrée. Je vais juste finir avec 2 exemples, je pense, qui sont importants pour de l'expérience tunisienne où, à un niveau institutionnel, le gouvernement, dans son plan, a recommandé de mettre en place des comités intersectoriels avec différentes fonctions. Et ça, je pense que c'est important que aussi les comités soient un peu spécialisés. Donc, une fonction d'alerte à la sécheresse, une fonction de gestion et de planification et une fonction de suivi et d'évaluation, de suivi de comment étaient efficaces les réponses qui sont mises en œuvre. Et puis peut-être un dernier élément, parce que je pense qu'il est vraiment d'actualité, et on a les collègues du Fonds vert, mais aussi tous les bailleurs de fonds, et beaucoup plus de personnes, de plus en plus s'intéressent à cette question, c'est la question de l'assurance, c'est la question de l'indemnisation, c'est la question des mécanismes financiers ingénieux qui permettent justement de réduire l'effet de la sécheresse sur les personnes les plus vulnérables, mais de ne pas être dans une formule d'assistance contenue, parce que comme c'est un phénomène maintenant qui est récurrent, qui est présent, qui est tout le temps avec nous, on ne peut pas continuer juste à le considérer comme un domaine où on va juste avoir les États qui gèrent juste en assistant les populations pauvres, vulnérables. Donc, la Tunisie a déjà mis en place un fonds de gestion des calamités, mais qui, bien évidemment, reste à être amélioré, et ce domaine d'assurance et de réassurance pour la gestion de la sécheresse, mais combiné d'ailleurs avec d'autres risques climatiques, y compris les inondations, y compris les feux de forêt. Donc, je pense que ça, c'est un domaine qui commence à prendre son chemin, et les plans de gestion de la sécheresse peuvent initier cette réflexion. Je vais m'arrêter là, mais je suis à votre avantage. Merci.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Sarah, for highlighting that the women will be super impacted by the drought management, and also they have a solution. And indeed, it's expected the seasonality of crops, productivity of pastoral systems and agricultural land, of course, will be impacted. And farmers, pastoralists production patterns, all will be impacted and changed. But also here we have, we're lucky that we have Zeina Tamimi from the government, representing the Ministry of Agriculture in Lebanon, who can also complete your points, especially that Lebanon initiative on reforestation and supporting the management of its silvopastoral areas is a good example of how Lebanon is shifting towards more ecosystem restoration as a way to mitigate the drought impact. So Zeina, would you please able to tell us more about the initiative in Lebanon, its challenges, and what are the key lessons from your perspective as a governmental representative in our panel? Yes, we can. Yes.
Sorry, Fida, is it my turn? Sorry for this interruption.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. I can start my intervention, please.
Yes, please.
Well, I'm going to speak a little bit about my country and about our humble activities and introduction of activities concerning rangelands and forests. Well, Lebanon, like many other countries, is encountering very stressful climatic conditions due to the adverse impact of climate change. And here I mention specifically drought, heat waves, flash floods, and forest fires. And this is increasingly affecting the degradation of our forests and rangelands. In this regard, mainstreaming climate change adaptation and mitigation practices and building the capacities of the rural communities and local authorities will help us build their resilience and strengthen their capacities on the long run. One of the main goals in the National Agricultural Strategy is to improve climate change adaptation and sustainable management of agri-food systems and natural resources, and per se here, forests and rangelands. This will be achieved hopefully through two things. First, raising awareness on the socio-economic importance of the multiple use of the land, agro-silvopastoral activities in rural development. In parallel with this, activating local participation in silvopastoral activities while still coordinating with municipalities, environmental associations, and all the stakeholders that are working in this field. The other way to improve the climate change adaptation is through developing the capacities of the relevant entities to use climate change mitigation and adaptation techniques while implementing restoration and deforestation. And here we're insisting on planting drought-resistant varieties and promoting assisted natural regeneration. And in both ways, we need the participation of all the stakeholders. We need to promote the idea. We need to deal with people that this will be our future plan. Because
it's there
otherwise
in the original audio in the live stream.
And forest.
It's there in the original audio in the live stream. Yeah, it's just not when you're in the translation. It should be.
Sorry, Zeina, allow me to. Ven, please, can you mute yourself a little bit? Ven?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Sarah. Sorry, Zeina, continue. Sorry.
Can I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay. And here, let me please just state our targets in this regard. We have set some targets and we have set our future steps. Our target will be to promote sustainable management of large-scale rangeland plants inside and outside forests, because we truly believe that forests and rangelands and the tree and the goats cannot be enemies. They have to get friendship now. And to encourage local communities to revive the traditional pastoralism, which will promote the rural development, especially in marginal areas, and this will be aiming to ensure food security. And our target is to help in the reduction and prevention of forest fires, because as we all know, grazing is an activity, is a friendly activity that has a dual impact. First, it promotes jobs for people, hence food security, and it reduces the biomass, hence reduces the forest fire. And please, let me allow to speak about our future steps. First, we are aiming to assess the role of grazing in climate change, mitigation, adaptation. We're trying to enhance the dialogue between stakeholders. And the most important thing is that we will coordinate national action plans related to reforestation and rangeland management and rehabilitation to produce, hopefully, a national roadmap that can set the basis for a national strategy for rangeland management, forest management, and natural resources management per se. This is what we need for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Zena. Super. So now we have the perspective from donors' perspective, from the science perspective, also from experts that all confirm the role of communities, but also communities in MENA region have proven to be very resilient, Mr. Shahbaz, right? So what do we need to do to strengthen their capacities and their resilience to droughts?
Thank you, Fida. As a fellow countrywoman, and as much as you know about the situation we are suffering in this part of the world, I would like to reflect some of my thoughts that came from roughly around 15 years serving in the desert with the pastoralist communities as head of the Desert Research Center here in Jordan. So everything went wrong today for me. My computer decided to update software, and then yesterday I caught cold, and I'm suffering from the cold symptoms, and I'm getting a little bit out of focus. However, my intervention is actually, as much as I agree with the distinguished delegates here in the panel with regards to the science background and to the socioeconomic, the socio aspects of the natural resource and land resources that we all know. I would like to take a small angle that is slightly different from my past experience, and I'm going to focus on the welfare and livelihood of the pastoralist community and their empowerment, because if they don't have any kind of framework to support them, it is going to remain a haphazard activity and resource utilization. And at the end of the day, it's not a win-win case. So my first thought that came to me is at a policy level, where we need to recognize the economy of the pastoralists. It has to be recognized as a part of the national economy. Where does it fit in within a micro to macro economy, and how does it function? How do we characterize it, etc.? That gives an identity to the activities, the productivity, and those people. And it gives them the care that it is needed to support them. So the pastoralist communities are actually need to be also, as a second thought, need to be served much better with a better information system. And I mean information, not data. We all have data. We play around with data and gigabits of data. That's not useful for these people. What is useful for those people is a useful information that is actually transferred to them in their own sense and language that they can understand. And that is, in my point of view, a much better platform to be able to communicate with these target stakeholders. I think if we can provide the target community with high quality information, it will put them at a much better threshold. And the information that I'm talking about is through the present communication systems. Today we have communication systems that are covering every corner of the world, of the globe, and it reaches out everywhere. So what we can do, we can provide them with very simple platforms that they can communicate with these data centers in terms of acquiring information that is needed for them. What is the type of the information that they need? They need information regarding forecasts. For instance, weather forecast, rainfall, heat waves, frost, etc. A couple of days ago, I was sitting with a pastoralist next to our botanic garden, Jordan, and we had the first depression that passed through Jordan, and we had precipitation since last year. So he said to me, Awsamat. Awsamat means wasm in Arabic. Wasm means that the soil had enough moisture in the ground from the rains, and we can seed now. So if we were able to provide the information to this sector of the communities at the right time, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, through forecast centers within their own language, it will actually coincide with their own agricultural calendar, and they will know exactly what to do. So it's very important that we can provide information on marketing dynamics through these platforms. We can give them prices of their products. We can give them demands on different products as well. So in my point of view, I think we have to think in parallel ways to be able to empower these communities and for them to give them a much better competitive edge than they have at present. Thank you, Fida.
Great. أوسمة النقاش لدينا. Awsam is like, it's a traditional knowledge, the way that our pastoralist farmers have traditional local knowledge that we need to rely on and link them with the science as well to improve the drought management. This is a great message here out of the whole discussion, and it's really indeed crucial. And for this, we want also to hear from our youth sector. I want also to highlight one point maybe for our audience, if they are aware or not, that NENA region is one of the youthful regions in the whole world. The average median for the youth group age is 22 compared to the whole world with 28. So youth sector or youth groups have the main role to support us advancing and support the science, the policymakers, the practitioners and different groups to sustain these kinds of traditional knowledge. And luckily we have Kinza bin Musa. She is joining us from the COP27. You're in Sharm el-Sheikh, and I want on behalf of the whole panelists to congratulate you because you are representing the youth sector for your country and you worked hard to be a member of the youth in the delegates, which means that there is a voice for the youth group to be advanced. From your experience and from your campaigns, you always kept emphasizing on the importance of education, communication, dissemination of information, as also we just heard from Mr. Shahbaz as well. As women activists, what are and how can we communicate effectively with the young people to sustain traditional knowledge system that silvopastoral systems can provide us and support the pastoralists and communities for further resilience? Yes, Kenza.
Well, first of all, thank you, Vida, for inviting us here. This panel, I'm really sorry for the noise around. I'm still here in the Congress of the COP. So I just want to highlight that worldwide, youth people's health and well-being is threatened by continuous climate change, and especially in the Middle East and North Africa, which is among the most vulnerable regions when it comes to climate change. So the region is warming faster, and we started already feeling that in our daily life. I don't know if you hear me.
Yes, perfect. Continue, Kenza. We can hear you. Kenza?
Sorry, it's freezing.
Yes, continue.
Yes, sorry,
no, continue. We can hear you.
Yeah, so I say that our region starts to be warmer than before, and we feel that in our daily life. Than the global average. And of course, this comes with some consequences. So talking about youth, I just want to say that nowadays we talk a lot about equal anxiety among youth. And a recent study, by the way, of the UNICEF just shared that nearly 9 to 10 of the youth and children in the MENA region live in areas of high and extremely high water stress. So we talk about anxiety, about stress due to these kind of phenomena that they are facing us. And also the agriculture sector is one of the pillar of the economy in North Africa. And due to the unsustainable water use in agriculture and also the growing population and weak water governments, this drought is affecting us directly. So drought management from the youth perspective in the MENA region needs new strategies and new governments and special risk management as well by stakeholders, by companies, by businesses as well. And unity is necessary for now before it's too late. So this is one way to talk to youth. It's like showing up these new strategies and new governments. And also the actual situation is quite depressing. That we are happy that fortunately there is hope. But only if we only open up the doors for youth by giving them seats on the tables of negotiations when it comes here to the COP27, which is not the case for all the delegations when it comes to the MENA region comparing to the European countries. So we can also support youth by funding their innovative ideas, as it has been said before in the panel. Youth now have the solution. They can use tech initiative to tackle climate crisis. And as you have also said, Vida, let's not forget that the MENA region is having the largest youth community. And this is a powerful resource to dig in. So young people have big ideas about flood and drought management. They just need the trust and support as well. Thank you.
Super. We are all here sharing the same strong message. Cross-sectorial is indeed the need to link the dots between different stakeholders, different strategies, communication, data, assessment. I think we need to give the floor to our audience. We received a few questions. I think still we have 6 minutes. So a quick question to you, Wajid. You have 2 minutes to give the answer. The question is, in addition to the world's most water-stressed countries, NENA region is one of the most conflict-affected areas in the world, which has impacted on displacement and migration. What needs to be done at regional level to support and catalyze the transition toward drought and peace?
اوكي جريت. الحقيقه احنا بدانا نعمل في جامعه الدول العربيه عندنا مالتي ستيك هولدرز كوميتي خاصه بالدول المتاثره بالازدحام. Just shutting the translation. Sorry. So الفكرة دلوقتي إن إحنا ما عندناش مشكلة خالص إن إحنا دلوقتي نتعامل مع هذه الظاهرة. المالتي ستيك هولدرز بيربطوا بين التريبل نكسس. التريبل نكسس هي بناء السلام، التنمية هنا جزء من التنمية هو التعامل مع فكرة تغير المناخ، جزء من سياسات خاصة بالأمن الغذائي والأمن المائي، لأن احنا لازم ندير المياه ونعيد الريف للإنتاج ونعيد المناطق اللي فيها المراعي ونعيد الأهالي اللي كانوا بيشتغلوا في هذه المناطق اللي هاجروا منها وراحوا لمناطق أخرى. إذا ما عملناش كده وما اتطورتش الأمور دي وساعدنا في هذا المجال، اللي هيحصل إن احنا هنستمر بنزيد استيراد الغذاء، بتزيد المشاكل الداخلية، بيزيد الضعف، بيزيد مناطق الضعف، وبالتالي بيبتدي بنستمر في نفس الدورة اللي احنا فيها دلوقتي، وده اللي احنا مش عايزينه. شكرا.
أكيد. Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I'm a little bit switching between the Arabic and English. Chris, also you have 1.5 minutes. And maybe it's the complex question for you here. We received finance is the cornerstone for implementing climate actions and scaling up ambition, and hence it has been at the heart of the UNCCD process and the Paris Agreement negotiations. How we can encourage the role of private sector in diversifying the silvopastoral production system in a way that can contribute to the drought management?
Wow, that's a very complicated long question.
Exactly. Exactly. You have 1 minute.
Yeah, we have to start at many different levels. So we have some projects where we are working with enterprise groups, youth groups. They're also the private sector, yeah, women's groups, and building the capacity of these farmer groups to be able to become bigger entrepreneurs. And there are many projects we have, such as FAO projects and IFAD, who work with farmer producer groups. And they're starting to work with both the buyer and the farmer so that the farmer gets a good price for their products and the buyer also gets sustained quality. And we're also trying to get the company to invest in the value chain to support the farmers with their capacity building and investments so they can upscale and produce the quality products and consistent products that they need. But also with livestock, I think this is also a challenge because often a lot of livestock investments are diametrically opposed to the sort of systems that you see that are being operating in the drier regions of the world. A lot of livestock systems are housing intensive or in wetter climates. So I think I need to try to build the higher value products. And also there are plenty of interventions for the agroforestry products, like we mentioned, shea butter has enormous possibility as a vegetable oil, especially when we look at the biggest oil around the world is the palm oil. Huge market for this, and it's quite associated with unhealthy activities such as deforestation, and also and it's in everything from toothpaste. So shea oil could also be a high quality product which can replace some of this palm oil that's used for higher quality, higher price commercial products. But we also got to think about food security as well. And I think this is why investing in farmer groups is also quite important. Most of the world food production comes from farmers groups, and FAO and IFAD are very good at that. Okay, thank you.
Super good. And thank you also for highlighting that local communities also could be part of this value chain and supply chain as well, and as a private sector. Unfortunately, we have still one question, but the time is 1 minute left before we close this session. It's really an inspiring discussion. Thanks for our panelists for your time, for joining us today. I would like just to close with a nice quote I heard at the opening of the COP from His Excellency Samih Shukri, the president of the COP27, when he said that COP27 will be the world's watershed on climate action. So still, even the water management and the water issues drought in the heart of our key messages. We hope that this COP will come up with an action plan, move from planning into an implementation. And I want also to thank all of our colleagues behind the scene and our audience for their inputs on our Slido. So I may ask my colleague just to show what also our audience thought about the drought management, their ideas and their thoughts. So let's continue this discussion in the future. Thank you all for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.